afternoon. And welcome to the dark side. I'm sorry, jet lag kicked in once more. It's great to be here, and I'm very grateful to my entourage here, particularly the tall red ones. They're very tall, but I should point out they are retractable. In fact, I always take them with me as hand luggage. I know there's been a lot of talk about your president and admission to this country, but frankly, since he's taken over, it's no problem for we cis at all. No, we don't even have to show our passports. So it's nice to be welcome. It's nice to see you all here today. Hi.
Hey, Ian.
And I want to say hello to my good friend, Peter.
Hey.
It's, I think it's probably true, Peter, that it's the first time that a Wookiee and a Sith have sat on the sofa together.
Definitely. It's probably the first time we've even been in the same building.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, because you were working, I was working. You did your bit, I did my bit, and we went home.
That's right.
And hopefully the check cleared.
Yes.
So, this gentleman was a young man when I first knew you.
Yeah, frightening thought.
Right in the front of Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah.
The first Emperor, thing. So, life goes on.
It does, yeah.
It's fun.
Indeed, in Return of the Jedi, I think it was in my late 30s. And as I got older, I got younger, if you know what I mean. Which is an experience I recommend. You should all try it. You know. I just hope it keeps working.
Well, I want to thank you both, first of all, for being here at Alamo City Comic-Con. It's a real treat to have you both here.
Thank you.
Now, Ian, is this your first time in San Antonio?
It is, yes. Right. Enjoying myself. The river walk is great. I hope to see a little more of it tonight.
Have you noticed, like, the people here? Does it seem like it's kind of a different sort of, there's a truth to the whole phrase, Southern hospitality?
Yes, exactly. People are warm and friendly and natural. But, you know, they also welcome the dark side. Mustn't get sentimental.
Well, I first wanted to, we are going to take some audience questions, and there are microphones in the audience, so be thinking about what you want to ask, but I do want to preface this by saying that we cannot talk about Episode 8. We cannot talk about that Han Solo movie, so please don't ask those questions or I'll have to shoot you down.
Otherwise, I'll pull you
by order of Lucasfilm, so, all right. But I think we can talk about just about anything else. I want to kind of go back to the beginning a little bit. Now, Peter, obviously, by the time Ian came on board, you had already done 2 of these things, but do you guys remember, first of all, Ian, do you remember what that moment was when you first got the call for this part? And then, Peter, did you guys get to meet before the movie started shooting, or did you meet later?
I don't think so.
We didn't know.
No, because Ian's cave was well away from anything else.
It was, yeah, we were kept well apart. Good on one side, evil on the other.
Yeah.
But it was a big surprise to me, and Peter, of course, had been in the previous movies, and I'd just been in the cinema watching them. And I got a call from my agent one day, some of you may know this, and he said, George Lucas wants to meet you. And I thought, this is an agent joke, you know. But it wasn't. And he said, they're sending a car, and I looked out of the window and the car had already arrived. So I thought, oh, this is probably George Lucas for real. And I got in the car, and indeed it was him. And Richard Markman, who you all know, was the director of Return of the Jedi. And we had a brief meeting at lunchtime. I assumed it was about Star Wars. I knew that you were filming at that time. And this is the way it continues, nobody tells you anything. So we went in, we had a nice conversation about the weather or lunch or something, and I left. And I thought, oh well, I don't know what that was about. It was nice to meet these 2 guys. And as I left, turned in the doorway, George said, hey, great nose. I thought that must be his way of saying thank you. And in a strange way it was, because when I got back to my flat, the phone was ringing, and my agent said, you've got the part. I said, oh great, what's the part? And he, you know, the way agents do, he leafed through his notes and said, oh, apparently the guy's called the Emperor of the Universe. So I said, well, I guess we'll be doing it. And you know the rest.
That's fantastic. Now, to listen to you talk, Ian, you sound like a very pleasant, affable gentleman. Where did that voice come from?
It came from my boots. Well, it came on in the minute I saw the face. Because, you know, I continued to know nothing. And they said, okay, we'd like you in for a makeup test. And, you know, I imagine they want to enhance my features. I didn't realize that decay was the order of the day. And they said, no, we need you to look like a shriveled wreck. I said, well, I could stay awake for a couple of nights. He said, no, it's got to be more serious than that. Anyway, they constructed this makeup, which took 4 hours initially. Got faster after a while, and I looked in the mirror and I thought, he looks like a terrible, desiccated old toad. So this sort of voice came into my mind. And I'd also seen a great Japanese actor do a play quite recently, and some of the Japanese actors are the greatest in the world. And he produced his voice from somehow way down, perhaps in his groin, or certainly the lower part of his stomach, does not go into detail. And I thought, well, if I can get my voice down there, it might resemble this horrible face I've got. So I tried, and for the first day of filming, I just came out with it, and nobody said stop.
Now, Return of the Jedi, obviously, this was the third time, Peter, that you had been doing Chewbacca, and Ian, it was your first time to work with Star Wars. But for each of you, what's the one thing that really stands out in your mind when you think back to that film? Like, was there a particular experience or a day on set that you'll always remember for a particular reason?
In Star Wars, I think my nightmare was when we were playing chess, a chess game. Because you've got a golden droid, an archer, and a wing. Nothing on the chessboard at all. The set is massive because they had about 5 or 6 cameras doing the hand, and the hand jumped to light speed, and Mark playing with Alex balls. Didn't get the laugh I wanted, but therefore you had 5 or 6 cameras. And I turned to one of the technicians, they were about to shoot. And then I looked at him, told him, well, there's nothing on the chessboard. He said, don't worry about it, mate. I would have got me out like that. And he said, we will put that in later. And that was where Anthony came on and said, well, the answer is the answer is that the Wookiee will be. And as I say, we did this about 3 or 4 times. We eventually got it right, but there's been numerous times on every movie where you think, this is the worst thing that I can get into. For example, would be Hoth in Empire. -15 or -20 up in the middle of Norway. And it's about 15 feet deep, the snow outside. And we're on set, George, Gary, and various other people. And George comes out and goes, you do not look like you've survived a winter up here. What I want you to do is roll in the snow. Remembering that it's a mohair suit with yak hair through it. You roll that into proper snow, it sticks like to a blanket. That's what we did. But we were able to get the proper shots. The droids were put in, the search vehicle was put in afterwards. And as I say, every film I've done has had different things to it. And it gives you a lot of experience. That is the way you learn. considering that I had not been to drama school. I had nothing. It was just, I'd learned, I was, 35 when I started. I just picked it up at the way it was and learned from not only Harrison, but Mark and all the others, despite the stories. But you learn from that particular person, and it was just an extension of what was going to happen.
Yeah, I was in a big studio too on my first day, except I didn't really know where I was because I had these yellow contact lenses on, as you'll remember, and I could only see straight ahead, and even that with difficulty. So I was led to this enormous place. I could see that it was big, up the top of some stairs, and the great, you'll remember, Peter, the great first AD, Dave Tomlin, said, "Oh, hello Ian, how are you?" I said, "Very well." He said, "Okay, now, there's going to be a lot of smoke, there's a lot of stairs, you just go down it and you say your lines." Okay. And indeed, there was a lot of smoke, and doors opened, and I couldn't see a thing because of the lenses and a lot of smoke, and I thought, right, I will now concentrate on not falling. So I put one step in front of another, and I got to the bottom, and then I looked up. And then I saw what must have been about 2,000 people, because in those days, the people were the people. They weren't, 3 people and then CGI added later. And I thought, my goodness, this is, my people. So, so I snapped together, and then one of them knelt at my feet, and I said the lines, and there was Dave, whom I hadn't even been introduced to yet, standing up there, saying his lines as loudly as he could, which meant I couldn't hear them at all, because he was way up there. And I sort of imagined in my head how James might say them eventually, because I knew he was going to. And then somebody shouted, "Cut." And George said, "Thank you, Ian, we got that one, let's do another." And I thought, "You have?" So that was my experience of the first day. And then I looked up and I saw my friend Michael Pennington, who was the person who knelt to me. And he said, "Oh my God, it's you!" And I said, "How dare you recognize me?"
That's fantastic. Hey, Peter, I imagine when you're rolling around in the snow in the Chewbacca costume, you're thinking, this is show business.
Yeah.
For each of you, I imagine that it's different for each of you, but Ian, when you went to see Return of the Jedi, did you see it with an audience in a proper movie theater, and what was that experience like, seeing the reaction that people had to that on the big screen?
I saw it first of all at the premiere in London, and yes, it was amazing to see it all put together, of course, as it always is for all of us, and with the music, John Williams, wonderful music, which gives the film so much body and so much texture. And then I sort of realized that he was a character who might catch on. And I then went to a showing, actually no, it was before the premiere, you're thinking of, a cast and crew showing with a very young friend of mine, this high, who didn't believe I was in Star Wars because he couldn't possibly know anyone who was in Star Wars. Don't be ridiculous, Why do you tell me these ridiculous stories, So he came along, and then after the first scene, he looked at me slyly out of the corner of his eyes and didn't speak to me for the rest of the day. And we all arranged to go to lunch, and his mother said, "Do you want to sit beside Ian?" And he went, "No, thank you." And he's never got over it to this day.
I first saw Star Wars at the Odeon in Leicester Square in London. It was a cruise ship, and you go in, you think, oh, I've seen parts of this, so I know roughly what the story is. But when the theatre goes dark, and you get that first shot of the Imperial barge and the TIE fighter that disappears up its own backside, I thought this is going to be wonderful because you get a scroll going that way, and happened to be in the audience. Happened to be Francois Dimension, who I'd worked with before, and everybody went ape over it because it was at that particular time there was nothing there. There was nothing available on the screen. It was all sex and murder and stuff. Now we've got the Emperor.
Was it also a little bittersweet, like when you saw Jedi, because at the time you didn't know you would ever return to that role. You might have thought that was maybe the end of...
True, yes, but no, I think it was, if you look at this as a book, 4, 5, and 6 are the middle sections, which they had to do to get all the other characters in line. For example, Jabba, when we're doing Docky Bay 94, and when Anne is talking to Jabba, they didn't know the computer was capable of building a Jabba. So it took an Irishman to play the part, and he goes around and does conventions as the only Irish actor not to be seen in Star Wars.
Sounds a bit Irish to me.
All right, listen, I know you guys have questions, and we want to get to as many audience questions as we can. So if you guys want to line up at the microphones, we'll try to take as many as we can. Let's please try to keep them short and concise so we can get through as many as possible. I think we've got one right here. Let's start with you.
Hi, thank you for being here. I would like to know, what is your fondest memory of our beloved favorite princess in the entire galaxy, Carrie Fisher?
You want a clean version?
Oh, I don't think there is a
Your
clean version,
version
Peter.
of the fondest memory that you have.
Okay, I'll keep it clean for you. We did a celebration. We did a tribute to Carrie. And I was thinking about it, and she's, knowing her very well, you get to know the personality. She had a wonderful personality, which meant that she was a trooper, but she was also our princess. And that's how I'm going to leave it.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
She was gorgeous. Yeah. If you were have Misty, have the what's name, the skullduggery. Carrie was always there. She put water cannon in people's trouser pockets and squeezed the nozzle. That is the kind of girl.
Yeah. I escaped the water cannon, but not the glitter. Everywhere she went,
yes,
she would scatter princess-like glitter everywhere. And I swear I still got some of it in my nails and parts of my clothing. But you couldn't help but love her. That was the thing about Carrie. And once when we were doing a photo opportunity together, she started to sing "Send in the Clowns." I find that I knew it too. Before we knew where we were entertaining a lot of people that singing that famous song. But when we were all together at Celebration just a few weeks back, there was of course a tribute to Carrie, and a wonderful one from her daughter, who played one of the scenes from the movie that her mum had taught her when she was very young. She just did it, and that finished us off. And then a curtain went back shortly after that, you remember, Peter, and there was the Orlando Philharmonic Orchestra, and John Williams conducting Leah's theme. Well, if we hadn't been finished off before, that was the end. But it was a wonderful, fitting tribute to her, and John had wanted to come especially and contribute. So, well, we all miss her.
Yes, it was one. That was the surprise of that ceremony. The mere fact that nobody knew what was behind that curtain.
Yeah, it's very clever.
And Warwick did a good job on doing the MC, and it was just, I don't think there was a dry eye in the house.
No,
There wasn't, because, you know, it's there, and it was not only one generation, but if you listen or you read your newspapers, her next door neighbor died at the same time.
Oh, is that right? I didn't see that.
That was Debbie.
Oh, Debbie. Yes, yeah, I'm sorry,
Debbie
Debbie.
Reynolds died at the same time. And those two were so close because when she did, she had a one-man show, Wishful Drinking, which is a history of her, who is my cousin in Hollywood, who is not my cousin, and she sits there, smokes in California, smokes and drinks Dr. Pepper. And you go in, and there's a big notice. There will be alcohol and smoke consumed in the theatre. If you don't like it, get out. You know, that was the direct part of Carrie.
Peter, I remember you and I talked about it. It's very strange to talk about her as if she's not here, because we're just so used to her always being around. And she actually was going to be at the show. This was going to be one of her next appearances.
Yep.
So we all miss her terribly, but thank you very much for your question.
Yes.
Let's go to the next one, maybe. Yeah.
This is a question for Ian. This is a pretty short mic. Did you ever hear about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
I heard rumors. But of course I'm not permitted to talk about it. Yeah, that was a good scene.
So yeah, my actual question is, Dark Empire is one of my all-time favorite stories, now legends from Star Wars. I was wondering if you ever thought about adapting a story like that? Did you ever think of doing more movies with Emperor Palpatine?
Well, I think it's a very good idea, but I don't personally have the rights. But if you and a few million other people feel like writing to Kathleen Kennedy about it, maybe it will happen. I mean, he's an interesting character, Palpatine, no question about that. But I'd always imagined he was just a solid block of evil with no particular history apart from being a solid block of evil. But I had a lunch with George at one point before he sold the company. At that time, there were thoughts of a television series, and which he said the character of the Emperor might develop somewhat, rather along the lines of Adolf Hitler. There's a surprise. I think he was thinking of scenes of attempted assassination and subsequent punishment and so on. But that idea went by the wayside a long time ago. But I don't know, maybe it's right for revival. But I'll only know if it happens if I get a call the Sunday before we're about to shoot.
Right here.
Hi. So with so many movies and them coming out obviously in different orders, a lot of people have different opinions on which order to watch the movies. Personally, for you guys, what's the best order to watch them in?
I think, depending on age, if you are a youngster and you know the characters because of the cartoons, I personally would give and start at one. Therefore, you move through the story, which, as I said earlier, is a book, because you're bringing all the characters coming back to lead up to 4, 5, and 6, and 7. That's the way I would deal with it. But there is, I think there's one part that, I forget what it is, but I know not suitable for kids under 5 or 6. I can't remember it, but I know someone made a criticism that it wasn't available or wasn't suitable for a child of under a certain age. That's what I would do.
I think I agree with that. I think watching them in the right order is a good thing to do. And the interesting thing about those movies, George always said that he felt the prequels would really appeal much more to young kids of 8 years old upwards, and those of us who started with 4, 5, and 6 would find it less appealing. And I think that's been borne out. I remember thinking when we were making them, in years to come, the digital technology was advancing at such a pace that those young kids might think 4, 5, and 6 were a bit dull in relation to 1, 2, and 3. But that doesn't seem to be the case. And talking to young kids all the time, and a few of you, maybe you're here today, in San Antonio, they're entirely gripped. And nobody talks about the technology, they just talk about the story. And that's the great gift of the saga, I think. It's an immense story. It's a story about many things. Mainly, I suppose, the relationship between fathers and sons. But it's gripping, and I don't think it'll ever go away. George, in an unpretentious way, talks about it as Shakespearean. He doesn't mean the dialogue. But I think in terms of the arc of the story and the involvement of the characters, it's not a bad description.
Yeah, I knew very early on that it was going to be a trilogy of trilogies. Because I was talking to, God bless him, Stuart Freeport, and I was curious about how much free time and play that I had to do it. And he just mentioned it. He said, well, I think, I'll have to check my records, but I think you're in 7 out of 9. We'll see, and nothing really ever came of it, because you were given a contract for each one of the movies that we did, and it was play by ear basically. But it's there, and I think that it will go on to be a Gone with the Wind or one of the real classics. Once you get 8 or 9 movies, that is the time to put the kids down, if you can keep them down. And I suggest 6-inch nail and a big hammer. Put them down. So you put them down, you let them watch, then you talk to them about whatever. Whether it's goodies, baddies, or indifference, it doesn't matter. They're going to have parts of their growing up period, doing things and being aware of what is going on.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right here.
Hi. I just really wanted to know, which was one of your favorite movies, and which ones did you have the best time filming?
Favorite movie definitely is Empire. Because Star Wars, you had all the characters were coming together. They were assembling. You had the baddies and the goodies. But Empire, it was like a big family. You were coming back with, not necessarily with the same actors, but with the same plot guys. So therefore, it was like a big family. You walk in on a Monday morning, see a plot guy, hi Charlie, how's the family? And you got to know the families, because they used to come in and watch the movies. So, what I didn't like was Jedi.
Oh, really?
Nothing to do with certain people.
You can say it.
It was when we were in the forest in California, Northern California. Right. They say, right, we're going up to the set. We drive up, and drive up, get to the top, and it's an old logging camp they've taken some of the bigger trees out, big redwoods. They've left holes all over the place, specifically to do the biker chase and all the explosions. If you notice, all the explosions are based in the bottom of trees. Trees like that. You put jars in there. You can explode them any way you like. But we get to the bunkers and it's in a clearing, and it was down, so that the undergrowth had grown back, so it was about 6 or 7 feet tall. I was told by Dave Tomlin, do not wander away off set. A simple reason, this is Bigfoot country.
He told you that.
So I said, fuck you, I just had the image. What are you doing? So I used to go down and I had a pair of khaki shorts and a red t-shirt, which shows up extremely well literally. When Dave said do not wander away, I thought, just imagine Mr. Magoo going through the forest with a double-barrel shotgun. I'm going back. You can stick your contract. I'm done. So, no, but we got it done, and as I say, that was the worst situation because the redwood trees are up to about 200 feet high. And as the trees molt, there are big branches about 6 inches diameter and about 5 feet long. They're commonly known by the guys up there as widowmakers, because if the log comes down 200 feet, you don't need a funeral. They're buried as they go. But I didn't particularly like it because as you were running, there's so much leaves being pine on cones, you sink in about 4 or 5 inches.
Yeah.
It's that deep. And I was in an attack, as you see on the movie. I'm in the attack. The mere fact that attack shot, the internal shots with the Ewoks, was shot in London, and they've maxed it out to fit what a second unit would do in London. But it was built on metal poles, and you can't tell me you can get a metal pole in leaves that it doesn't go like that.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's there. But it was fun. It's experience. You do it,
Yeah.
you get on.
Well, I didn't get to go to the forest. Meet up those charming teddy bears. Who ultimately defeated me. I don't hold it against them. I just will not be photographed with them. My favorite was Empire, which was before I knew I was the Emperor. It's a great dark movie, I think, beautifully shot. But as far as being in it, as you know, they put me in that eventually. Lucky me. The one I enjoyed doing most was, probably for understandable reasons, Revenge of the Sith, because I got revenge. But also I got more to do, and there was there was a very good dialogue scene in that George, much criticized for his writing, I thought really rose to, and that's the scene in the opera. And that was just me at Payne, late one Friday afternoon, I think, doing 20 takes when we were both fairly tired. And I had half the studio dust in my nose, in my ears, and in my mouth because they'd been driving 5 wind machines at me for the previous scene. And I thought, well, they won't use any of this, and God, will I be able to speak? But sometimes when you're up against it, you've just been describing Peter, you surprise yourself. So that scene has mixed memories, but happy ones in terms of the result.
All right, thanks.
My question is for both of you. Obviously, you had to endure quite the makeup ordeal. How did that affect your acting, and how did you overcome that?
It was a gift to me, that makeup. I mean, as I explained earlier, it sort of gave me the voice. And it really did all the work. The costume, which arrived, imperial costume, he said. I said, oh, great. Imagining grand robes and, lots of people carrying my train and so on. And then this little black number arrived. But of course that was very clever. That's where George was so clever, and of course much more sinister and more effective. In a strange way, more imperial than something grander would have been. And again, was a great sort of addition to the performance. The other thing, of course, which I didn't know at the time, as I got younger, my own face was revealed. Whether this was a good thing or not, I don't know. But it also meant for the first time people started to recognize me in the street. So I had the advantage before of having this part seen on screens by millions of people throughout the world and be able to walk down the street and no one really knowing who I was. And then suddenly it all changed. But I'm not complaining.
Fond memories of makeup. Sitting in the barber's chair with Stuart Reward, the makeup guy, slapping denture goo all over my face. So he said, I was talking as you can, and he said, give it 20 minutes and then work your muscles and the cheeks and it should pop off. He said, you can close your eyes because we're going to chop the eyes out and use your own. Great. I went up straight for 20 minutes and then suddenly I get woken up. It's a pair of hands, one on either side, trying to pull the thing off. And then he eases, we get it out. It goes into a cement support block, both internal and external, which the actual mask is polystyrene with black hair and a around the back. So it was just merely that it fitted, and we did some final fittings, and luckily Stuart made 2 of them, just in case they forgot one, because Chewie was Kay's baby. One morning, they arrive at the studios. Kay thinks Stuart has put the box in the car, but they both thought that the other one had done it. They arrive at 30 minutes away from the studio, from their house. Who's got the Wookiee basket? Sure enough, they ring home, they're sitting on the table demanding breakfast. So it was a mad dash to try and get it back. Fortunately, I was not in the first scenes, which I could have a cup of coffee and just prepare for when it did come. We'd get on and do it. As I say, it was an easy mask because it had Velcro at the back and popper studs down, and you get a good hairdresser. You can lose all the joints, and therefore you can see right the way around.
When we were doing Return of the Jedi, Mark, of course, didn't really know what I looked like because I was in early every morning getting that face on, that mask on. So he asked our mutual good friend Dennis Lawson, who was playing Wedge, to give a party, mainly to see what I looked like. And he arrived at the party and of course walked straight past me, which was good. And I did the voice, and then he turned and looked at my face and fainted clean away. He didn't really, he just screamed, it was fine.
Yeah.
Next.
Why didn't Chewbacca get a medal in A New Hope?
Why didn't Chewbacca get a medal in the movie?
Now I've got two things. One, they run out of money,
That's the real reason.
or the bank manager wouldn't lend them any money. And when you think Carrie is 2 feet shorter than I am, she couldn't get it up the stairs to get it round my neck without embarrassing both of us. So they decided, right, okay, but Chewie did get a medal eventually. It was the MTV award where they offered it. They said, we're going to do this. And I said, you are? Is Carrie going to do it? They said, yes, Carrie will be there. She will put a medal around your neck. We arrived in Burbank, and there's 1,000 people waiting to go in and waiting outside. But we're inside. And, okay. We're waiting to go up, and I've got boots that are very, very quiet. There's almost foam rubber, so I can travel pretty quietly. There's this great big security guy leaning on the barrier. I come up behind him. I've got hands which have got the he had on it. Stick one on in one hand and the other one round, pick the other one. I'd never seen him. He was a colored gentleman. I'd never seen him turn white. Because he didn't hear me. So we go back. Mike Myers did the wonderful introduction. And we're there, we're back, and you walk up the stairs. And looking at the video later, there was Will Smith's All of Hollywood was there. There were at least 20 Hollywood socialites there. We get the medal, and Carrie says, when Chewie makes his noise, or does his thing, Carrie comes in and she goes, I couldn't have done it better myself. and we wandered off, and that was it. It was a wonderful experience.
Great. There was a great medal moment, I don't know if you saw it, a few weeks ago, with your president, when he visited Saudi Arabia, where he was given red carpets and goodness knows what. And one of the things he was being given was a medal. And the gentleman who presented it was sort of shorter than President Trump. So President Trump bent right down as closely as he could so he could get the medal over his hair. It was very successful, but it was a moment of universal suspense.
Okay, yeah, guys, we're going to do this really quick. Let's get through as many as we can. Let's go right here first.
Favorite character besides you?
What's your favorite character besides you?
Princess Leia.
Princess Leia.
Yeah, I should say that too, really. She was great. Come on, no question. Okay, there's one Ewok I could live with, and he's called Warwick Davis.
Very nice of you. Very nice of you. Okay, let's go to the next one right here.
How is David Cross like on set? Is he like kind of
Oh.
Let's put it this way. They spent more money getting him off set than they did on set. That is another story which I'm not going into, but let's get things organized. Having had not a competition, but a little bit of thing, brains gone, a little bit of not jealousy, it's the it's all right, that's wonky thinking. It's jealousy up to a point, let's put it that way. Because when we were, the only time we were ever on set was the carbon freezing chamber. Vader comes down, we're in the carbon freezing chamber. And he's there, I've got Leia and, on set. And you may think that the free carbon freezing chamber is cold. It's not. They run steam pipes under the deck. Kirsch sets it up, and I look down, and I say to Carrie, can you move 3 inches your way? She said, why? I said, well, there's a steam pipe coming up right between my legs. She said, certainly, I'll straighten it out as well. No, we did it. I knocked a couple of stormtroopers off. I know, I love you. Yeah.
Yeah, my brief one, I know you want us to be brief. He had, you'll remember, he dies, the Emperor. It's a very sad day, but he does. He's sent to sort of universal hell by Vader. And to get to universal hell, what happened, because it's a movie, he didn't throw me down, he had to throw me up. And I was on a harness, and then later, of course, they reversed it. That's the way it worked. And all Dave had to do was catch my feet. And I'm still spinning round those.
Okay, guys, I apologize. We have completely run out of time. We have another panel that's coming in here, so we're going to have to cut it there. But let's give a big hand to McDiarmid and Peter Mayhew. And let's give a big hand to these guys, too, for being up here in costume.
Great. Not really retractable, but it's that way.
Please come see these guys at their tables. They'll be here for the next 2 days. Thank you very much for coming out.
See you later. Bye.